your ally.
Today we want to talk about Great Britain. Nothing big and fancy, no flag waving, no bands blaring. Just a simple session of common sense about what flies. Here's a fact as apparent as the nose on your face. For too many years, the British have been mistaken about us. We've been mistaken about the British. It's high time we called it quits and started to get acquainted. I'd like to have you meet Tommy, your cousin, Tommy.
Cheerio, Yank.
Tommy's your friend, your good friend. He thinks like you, he fights like you, and he wants to get to know you better.
Righto. I haven't ever been to America, but I've seen your magazines and your cinema, and I've met some Yanks who seem to be ruddy fine blokes. Of course, you drive on the wrong side of the street, you say gas instead of petrol, and you murder the King's English. And why you drink that blasted coffee when you can get a piping good pot of tea, I never will know. But, come to think of it now, perhaps we Britishers may seem a bit odd to you Yanks sometime, eh? Oh, well, what's the diff? A quid's a pound and a pound's a quid. And we've got a war to win, haven't we?
That's the British national anthem. It's called God Save the King. You always sang it, My country, 'tis of thee. Well, that's what the British mean when they sing it. Pride in their land and their flag. That's what the king means in Great Britain. He's a symbol of their sweet land of liberty. It's this land and this liberty they've been defending. You don't have to set it down in history books, not that fight. People will remember it always. The calm courage, the plain, ordinary bravery of men and women and children that all the blitzes in the book couldn't conquer. Who will ever forget these names? Dunkirk, Coventry, London. Who will ever forget the British with their backs to the wall in North Africa, hacking their way back to victory? No, we don't have to tell you about the long, hard, grubby, total war the British have fought since 1939. You who are fighting now know what their fight has meant, and you know it well. Okay, now what about Tommy? What do you know about him, really? You, soldier. What do you know about the British?
Gee whiz, I don't know. They're kind of standoffish. They talk sort of snooty. I say there, oh, chappie. Stuff like that. And they take a week to catch on to a joke. That's what I heard, anyhow. Well, I guess that's all I know about them, really.
And that's about the size of it. And do you know what the average Britisher used to think of you? Listen.
Well, I'd say Americans spend the majority of their time shooting each other or kissing each other. Lots of cowboys and Indians and refrigerators and things.
And we're as wrong about them as they are about us. The British aren't snooty. They're friendly. Their reserve is not exclusiveness, but a native shyness and reticence that we've learned to understand. When a Briton returns from a tough battle and says casually,
"Oh, good show,"
it's not false modesty. It's not snobbishness. It's a kind of native reserve, a calm courage. Great Britain is small. England is smaller than North Carolina or Iowa. All of Great Britain is smaller than Minnesota. So they've learned through the years to keep their emotions to themselves in this tight, crowded little island. When they don't laugh uproariously, it doesn't mean they don't appreciate a good gag. When they don't brag or boast or emote, it doesn't mean they don't feel deeply. There's nothing sissy about them. They're tough. The Nazis have found out how tough. Remember this, and remember it well. Hitler wants the United States and Great Britain to be separated. Hitler wants us to distrust each other. Listen to any Nazi broadcast and you can spot it in a minute. Herr Goebbels' chief propaganda technique is to point out the petty differences between the British and us. But Herr Goebbels didn't count on one thing, that we'd be wise enough to overlook the minor differences and remember well the major similarities. No, we don't deny those differences. We admit them, respect them, and enjoy them. But we know basically that our language is the same, our heritage is the same, our love of liberty and decency is the same, and we're fighting the same fight. Listen for a moment to what the British wrote in their guidebook about us.
British soldiers, remember, no alliance, whether national or matrimonial, ever survives on sentiment alone. We've got to understand and respect each other for two reasons. First, because we want to be real comrades in arms, not phony ones of the Axis variety. Second, and even more important, we don't want a wartime friendship only. We want the real thing, the alliance which survives the peace and becomes a permanent force in the shaping of a new world.
With a basis like that to work on, what difference if they drink their beer warm, or if for breakfast they take kidney stew instead of ham and eggs? The British are coming to meet us halfway, in a common bond of friendship, with their hands extended in greeting. Grab hold. What else about Tommy? Tommy took his basic training with real bullets whistling around him, with real targets to shoot at. But it wasn't only Tommy. It was his sister and his mother and his kids. Yes, in Great Britain, it's total war. 2 out of every 3 persons between 14 and 65 are engaged full-time in the armed forces or in arms production. Every fit man from 18 and a half to 41 is a soldier or a sailor. 5.5 million women are on the factory front. Yes, in England, everybody works. At this point, we're going to switch proceedings a little to give you a GI slant on the Fighting Tommies. These are the first-hand impressions of a Yank who saw action alongside of British troops in North Africa. Take over.
My name's Carson, Bob Carson, PFC. And no cranks, please. You fellas know how it is. Something to do with the TO. Well, anyway, I was with Company E, 1st Division AUS, when it landed in North Africa, November 7th, 1942. First thing they did was to send me to a city called Constantine, under the jurisdiction of the British First Army. There's a funny thing about the average British soldier. He doesn't talk much. I noticed that right off. You try to learn something about his country, and you'll find he opens up about his neighborhood beer joint. He calls it a pub. Ask him about Churchill, for example, and he'll say,
Best prime minister we could have in time of war.
that's all. No explanations, no gossip, no biography. A few short, clear, curt words. Now, don't think for a minute that the average British soldier's a cold fish. He'll talk to you about football in his hometown, but something like girls, the favorite topic of American discussions, kind of a closed-mouthed subject with him. He says he's marking time for better days. I haven't said much about Tommy Atkins when he's under fire because I guess you sort of know what it took to shove the Germans back from El Alamein clear out of North Africa. Tommy Atkins fights just the way he lives, in a calm, determined, valorous sort of a way. He's not much on showy stuff or publicity, and... Well, I remember one time in Tunis. I picked up a letter to mail for a wounded British engineer. Dear Dad, the letter said. I'm knocked about a bit, but I'll be all right. Don't worry. That particular guy had a leg off and one eye out. That's the kind of guy Tommy Atkins is.
Check, Private Carson. We'd like to tell you about one other thing. About the way England looks from the air. from a seat of a flying fortress. When you're up 10,000 feet, in the good, keen air of Britain, a lot of the country comes into view. From Devon, through the lower Midlands, to Norfolk. This is the region that bore the brunt, the Luftwaffe's assault. It's the region that is sending off the bombers that now pay back the score. The land rises and dips, green and well-tended, checkered with fields of wheat, barley, hops, with forests of beech and oak, with pasture and marshland. In East Anglia, it goes down flat to the North Sea, becoming the Netherlands of England, with windmills, dikes, canals, seaside resorts. On the Kent and Sussex coasts stand the sheer chalk cliffs, the white cliffs of Dover, sentinels along the channel. For many years, that coast was a line of defense. But American flyers sweeping over the white hills think of it as something else. It's a jumping-off spot. The still free coastline of Britain is a great silver marker. From here, 6 air minutes to France, 20 minutes to the Low Countries, 45 minutes to Germany. Yes, Great Britain and us, our indivisibility a power for good. And what about tomorrow? What will our attitude be? There was an English poet, John Donne his name was, who said 300 years ago,
Any man's death diminishes me, for I am involved in mankind.
we are involved in mankind, all of us, Britons and Americans, West Enders and Limeys, Park Avenue and Brooklyn, Soho and Berkeley Square. We're embarked on the most hazardous voyage ever undertaken by the human intellect. Now we are engaged in the supreme test of our bodies to endure. Soon we shall face the supreme test of our minds to conceive a lasting peace for our planet. Working together, we can do it. Great Britain, the United States, all the United Nations, unshakable.